Welcome to this week's episode of the MFL Ramble, Metaverse Football League. It's April Fool's Day. It's Pack Drop Day. We've got everything going on. We've got the hive of geniuses in this stream today. That astounds me. Hopefully, I'm going to be learning a bit because I certainly will need it. I've got so many teams at the top end this season. But yeah, it's going to be a fun day. I'm a little bit ropey today. I was up all night in a bit of pain, but we get past it, don't we? So I apologise if I'm not my effervescent normal self. But we've got people in the chat, people in on the stream who will pick up the slack. You can always guarantee on Bob, even if he's literally just rolled out of bed, to be not short on the chat. But before we move on, let's say hello to the early people in the chat. We've got Josh Chilly. Maybe you're a bit spicy, I don't know. But afternoon, gents. Afternoon to you. Nathan's in the chat. Afternoon. Ricky Hyde, notebook ready for this one. Yes, same. Where's my notebook? Literally, this room at the moment is like a war zone. You can't see it because all you can see is me. But the rest of it is just like I'm taking this room apart so I can put more monitors in and everything. It's going to be like the NSA in here for streaming going forward. But yeah, it's taking slightly longer than I thought. Who else have we got in the chat? We've got Jack in the chat. We've got Dan LFC. Afternoon to you, sir. Enjoyed watching you on GBA last week. That was good. No, GBA, good, the bad, and GBU. Sorry, not GBA. I'm not sure what that is. Got Charles in the chat, aka GQ Smooth. Got Root in there. Root, you on holiday? Where are you? Got SL Burrow in there. Oi! We've got Hoodwink in the chat. And as you can see, Hoodwink, the beautiful Scottish god, the Braveheart himself, would normally be with us, but it's half term and he has got to entertain the wee chap. So he'll perhaps be watching with Mark, and maybe Mark will be giving some intelligent insight. Who knows? Got Kev Hurd in the chat. We've got Adam in the chat. We've got Big Mr. K in the chat. We've got Solid Lards in there. Everybody's in there. Wow. But yeah, so hopefully this is going to be a fun chat. Before we move on, let's welcome our guests. First of all, I'm joined by my Scottish co-host. He's the Braveheart. He hasn't got blue eyes, but he has got a bald head. And inside that bald head is a very smart tactical brain, and that is Kev Hurd. How are you, sir? Good, my friend, good. Pleased to join an afternoon stream and replace the other Scottish god. Yeah, it would have been a shame if we had no Scots. And we did debate about making this an evening stream, but well, we've got other Celtic people here, so yeah, exactly. Well, people would be able to listen to it at 2x, wouldn't they? Then that's not right. We want people to listen to us at like 1x, 1.2 max. But and we're joined this week. We'll go from the top to the bottom. Rory, coming back for his second visit. How are you, sir?
Very good, yeah.
I was thinking of something nice to say. Leprechaun leapt into my nose. I just heard blades in my head then.
Yeah. That team is all about Rory's leprechauns, yeah. But very good. Thanks very much for having me on again. Glad to be here. Chat some tactics. I think I need it after how last season went. But
yeah, last season was a tough slog, wasn't it? Especially if you're a 4-3-3 DGen like myself, and I know you were running various forms of 4-3-3 as well. So yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
And we are joined by the champion, the king of the world, king of the MFL world. Is he going to go back to back, or is he going to have the same performance after last season? Don't know, but we'll talk about diamond predictions in a little bit, and that is Bob. How are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Honestly, I don't know how James does it, getting up so early for these shows. It's only 8 o'clock in the morning here, and my body is not even functioning. So shout out to James for the work he puts in, and I'm looking forward to talking tactics. I know that Rory and I are playing in a number of leagues that are similar, and same with all of us. So I'm excited, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Before we move on, it's April Fool's Day. I know, I'm assuming that MFL isn't moving into curling, but I know for a fact that it caught one person out that's on this chat who thought for a moment that MFL was going into the world of curling. Kev, did you not spot on your calendar it was April 1st before you saw that message?
Well, I was like Bob. I was just trying to waken up at that point. So, but to be fair, I wouldn't say I never spotted it. It was more just what the hell is going on here. But yeah, it was good fun. Bob may be the champion at Diamond, but has he got his curling badge yet? That's the question.
I haven't got my curling badge. I played one and then couldn't quite work out how the mechanics worked, so fired the curling stones the wrong way to start off with.
I did that as well, up against the wall.
But can you get a badge then? If you can, then I'm all down for it.
I completed it second time and got a fancy badge, so it was worth doing.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'll be getting involved with that. But yeah, that was a little fun side game. That's the one thing that I always think MFL do quite well. They sort of like buy into these little things, and it's all a bit of fun. Maybe Matthian is into curling, but I don't know. I doubt it. It feels like more of a Scottish thing. I can't imagine many French people being into it. But yeah, it's definitely a fun little game. But yeah, and obviously it's pack drop day today. One of us is getting a Lego. It might not be me because my Dapper wallet is empty at the moment. Kev, are you getting any packs this evening?
I am. I'm getting a Lego as well. You heard it here first.
It's about bloody time.
Yeah, it is. It's, 16 months in the game and no Lego upgrade? Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus, Matt, make it happen, eh?
I need to I don't know how much money I've got in my wallet. I know it's not a lot because I was tapped out the other day after buying a few aging rock stars for my gold team. But yeah, so hopefully I can get at least a kickoff pack or something like that. Just got a little bit of skin in the game. But Rory, do you ever buy packs?
I haven't in recent times, and I was planning to today, and then I bought a new club this morning, so I don't know anymore. So I'd have to top up. But I do like getting a kickoff or a limited pack just to try the luck. But
especially after David's limited when he got a Lego.
Yeah. That's the dream, you know. That's what you need to be getting.
I started setting my teams yesterday, and my inbox ended on 69. And being a complete child, I felt like I had to stop then, just so it was on the stream. So SR Monkey 69. Bob, do you ever get involved in the packs?
I no longer do. It's been a very long time since I bought a pack. So it's yeah. Honestly, I'm usually working still when packs are going out. So, working for whatever I do. But no, I just haven't in a while. If I log on later, David, and there are some like common packs or something like that I can toss some little MFL towards, I might do that, but that's usually about it. Try to catch that 16-year-old center back, 44 card that, hops in the dev center. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's always fun. But I'm on the stream beforehand with Amreezy, which should be fun. I'm not sure who's on the main stream. I know Jimbo was looking for guests. I haven't checked in there. I was a bit busy yesterday afternoon. But I guess before we sort of talk about tactics, I think all of us have played a little bit in the experimental engine so far. Or not the experimental engine, the official engine now. What are your early thoughts on it? Go from the top, Rory.
We're just having a little chat live, and I'm seeing lots of goals, which is the first thing I noticed. Like, I was testing against Bob's Saltine Warriors. I believe that's your hometown side in Silver now.
Correct. Yep.
And I was getting 7-0 loss, 4-3 wins, 4-1 wins, and it just seems like a high variance of goals coming through the engine so far. It's only early days, so people aren't refined, people aren't perfect with it. Things are probably subject to change, but that was my first noticed thing. First game 7-0, second game 4-3, third game 4-1. It just seems like a high volume of goals. Now I'm playing a 4-3-3-A, so you're expecting some goals with a formation like that.
Well, exactly.
But it's carried over with most of the tests. That's a big thing for me at the minute, anyway.
What about you, Kev?
Well, Rory's been having fun playing the DGens, I see. So, 6-1 win in there, 2-1 loss. The variance is crazy so far because I haven't changed anything. And Rory's played me, 10 times? It's probably about 50-50 for wins and losses. But no, what I'm noticing is pace. Pace is the biggest thing in this engine. But I think it'll change again as well. As we said, sort of pre-stream there, I think there's going to be another patch probably on Friday. But if it stays as it is at the moment, I'm actually quite enjoying it. But I'm finding a few extreme things are working. Not sure how much depth I should go into about that, but But yeah, it's been fun. Loads of goals.
Maybe
Loads
save
of
that
goals.
for a private chat later.
Yeah.
The one thing I just looked through a couple of yours, and like when you're playing a team that's like similar overall to you, then there probably will be a bit of variance, won't there?
Yeah, but this is wild, I would say. This is sort of, 6-1 win, 4-0 loss. It's huge swings.
That feels like the engine before, like this season, like because the one before was the one where like it was difficult getting consistency, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, if your tactics working to get a 6-1 win, surely it shouldn't be a 4-0 loss after that.
Yeah, you would think so, yeah.
And especially if you're getting consistent wins, like some of those are sort of 2-3 in a row, then a big 4-0 loss. It's like, I get the variance aspect, but not that wild of a swing. It just seems a bit crazy.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I mean, I can't really offer too much to that part yet because I have tested in it a little bit, but I tend to wait until I've built my teams after Rollover to have a full go at it. But Bob, what's your early thoughts?
A lot of goals and really bad defense. Really, really bad defense. So I feel like if the numbers are kind of going to stay where they are, usually they try to make the goals that are scored and actually all that kind of stuff align with real life football. If that's the case, then defense or something is going to have to change because it's all over the place right now. Like there's a lot of like 7 to 8 kind of matches. So it's, we'll see. It's still early. I don't feel comfortable putting together like full tests. So right now I'm just kind of in default formations across all of my teams, and they're just pumping in goals left and right. Like I have a new team in silver, my hometown team that Rory was talking about, and I'm basically playing everybody that was in silver last season, and I'm winning games 5-4 pretty consistently. It's just no one is stopping anything. So it's wide open, run and gun, and I don't know. But goals are being stored in a number of different ways, David. So that's pretty cool.
I've got Salty Warriors. Have they had a logo rebrand since the last time I saw them? They definitely have.
Maybe like I had some stupid picture up there before. I rebranded them a couple seasons ago.
Okay.
So yeah, but good old Chat GPT. My wife introduced it to me because I'm old and I'm not good with new things, and we just kind of created it,
That's quite cool.
So
yeah, I like that.
But they've been fun to play with, man. Like that is like we talk about a lot with my teams, like my hometown teams, like the team. There are certain teams that mean a lot to me. I love Seoul and everything, but the hometown team, and then I have a new team from Portugal, from Madeira Island, from Shaw, and those are the teams I really want to win. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Oh, I see that on Saltine Warriors, Girardi. I saw that card listed for ages, and I was like, should I play a formation with that? It seems cheap for the overall. And eventually I decided no, but it looks like you bought him. He was relatively cheap for like an over 90 player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, like, am I going to play anything with a center forward? Probably not. But I bought him just in case. It's like, in my eyes, it's one of those, well, we go into Titans and I can test out a 4-4-1-1 type of thing. I can test out a false 9 sort of setup. So that's the whole idea behind buying that card. It's to see if these things work, because the first season I won Diamond, David, I struggled out of the gate because I was running like 4-1-2-1-2 and regular 4 at the back kind of formations. And then when I got into Titans, I started running 3-4-3 for rotations. And what I found was they were absolutely smashing. And that's when I made the switch over. So I used Titans to learn, and that adjusted my setup. So we'll see if that happens again. I have the ability to run center forwards on a lot of my teams, so we'll see.
Nice.
Or it's just a waste of money, that too.
Just fiddling with a thing. For some reason, it's gone a bit weird, a bit funky. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now you can see the actual name. But yeah, like it's so difficult, isn't it, when a new engine comes out? Like I think part of the fun of MFL, not everybody will perhaps agree, is like the building of a tactic and trying to understand a new engine. And like certainly when I first started playing the game, I'd just run the same tactics every season, regardless, and they worked because I had overpowered teams, and that was that. And then probably about season 3, I started to look a bit more into sort of like tactics and started to, I fiddled around with stuff before then, but not really sort of like any sort of consistent way. And after that, I started to sort of like look at tactics a little bit differently. And I decided eventually to run one tactic, although this season that will be changing on all of my teams. And that way I can sort of filter players that progress from the bottom to the top. And I'll always have sort of players for each position. Now, obviously, the game evolves. I think the way Kev and Bob and Rory to an extent do it, is have more formations on teams. And I think that can work as well. It's probably even, the OP way to do it is probably to do everything. But to do that, 1, you need a lot of time. 2, you need a lot of players on your team. And, you need to spend a lot of time tactics testing. So where do you, like these days, I sort of sit, or this season, certainly, I'm going to have 2 teams that can run pretty much every formation. And then I will be sticking with the old 4-3-3-D on a lot of the teams, maybe with a bit of a tacking as well. I'll talk about how I look at tactics in a bit, but how do you guys sort of, set up your teams? Do you have everything? Do you have all of the teams running different formations, or do you try and like run a similar formation, or do you build squads so they can run multiple formations? Rory?
Well, I was kind of a 4-2-4 guy, kind of coming up from like season 5, 6, 7, all the way up till about season 10. I was playing a 4-2-4 most of the time. And then in season 11, so not the season, I'm sorry, yeah, season 11, I was running the 4-2-4 and it just was not going well at all. And kind of midway through the season, I decided I'd switch to 4-3-3-A and I'll go all in on that. And that's when I got promoted to gold and stuff. And then I kind of stuck with that for last season. I was like, going in on this 4-3-3-A worked really well for me. Like I was happy with how it went. And I stuck for it 4-3-3-A for last season. And 4-3-3-A was a terrible formation last season. It was just super weak to wide mids. Like it couldn't control the space well. It couldn't score those cross goals with the wingers and the fullbacks. Like you need the wide mids and the fullbacks to create that space to put the ball in. So I ended up playing a 4-3-2-1, the one with the 2 center forwards in my goal team. And I think every single win I had came from that formation, and I didn't win one in the 4-3-3-A. So this season, I have a 4-3-3-A as a base. Like that's my whole agency is built around that. Like all my teams the way through. I only have 3 teams now that I own. So the 3 of them can all play 4-3-3-A. And 4-2-4, but I've added a left mid, right mid, just in case. You can't leave yourself short. I figured that out last season. It's just not going to work. You need to use the meta formations to your advantage, and sometimes you just can't make certain things work.
Do we know what the meta formations are this season though yet? And bear in mind, like the engine isn't final yet. Maybe there's some rebalancing going on. All kinds of stuff could change.
Not yet, exactly. That's the thing. Like it could be anything, but you just want to have the capability to go into it. Even for a couple games a season, it's worth it. So I added a left mid and right mid to my team. I've no CDMs, which is a big agency problem. I think my highest rated CDM is like 77 or something. I've just never had them. So I'm gonna look at taking 1 or 2 and on loan, but last season just showed me even as like a one trick kind of player, it worked for so long, but eventually it's just not going to, I think. And you have to be able to adapt.
100%.
So that's what I went with this season. Kind of a mixed bag of everything. A base of 4-2-4 and 4-3-3-A always. They're my favorite formations. I like playing them. But you need to be able to adjust when you need to.
What about you, Kev?
Yeah, so previously I've always kind of built my agency and my teams out to cover every single formation and every position. But this season I've tried to be a little bit more sensible with it, just purely because I want more progression. So because you massively sacrifice progression if you build out big squads, as you guys know. So what I've tried to do is have slightly smaller squads. Certain teams can only play certain formations. So I've got a 4-3-3 team. I've got a wide mid team with no wingers, things like that. So yeah, just try to streamline the agency a little bit and rely on less loans as well. So, but it's also flexible because, as you say, we don't know what the meta is at the moment, and we don't even know if this engine will stay or change. So up until deadline, I probably will mess about with it a little bit, but generally it's set in stone. So some teams have wide mids, some teams have wingers. Essentially, some teams have wing backs, some don't. So I've spread out nicely, I think, into bandings for good progression. That's kind of been the main sort of aim for this season, I think.
And it was tough, and I mean, like, obviously on Monday we had the announcement that the rollover day and the players aging, and a lot of us got hit hard. I was sort of expecting to get hit hard anyway, but there was a few surprises. I know in yours, like one guy who packed like 3 or 4 seasons ago.
Yeah, on the reward stream.
Thomas Carr. That was the first reward stream we did it, and he's had decent progression. He's absolutely cracking player, and he handed his notice in. It really sucks when you get players like that sort of, retire a little bit early on the early side, and also you've packed them sort of at a slightly older age. It means you get so few seasons with them. And that midfielder getting it as well. I was bit heartbreaking, but
yeah, that hit really hard because the midfielder was a high progressor and Carr was my best player. He was a 92 centre back, so to get his tombstone at 30 just feels painful, but yeah, it is what it is. Bob got hit way harder than I did, so did Sid, so I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, like, Bob playing in Diamond is tough, isn't it? Because the players you want to buy are the ultimate players, and they tend to be the ones that are a little bit older, so it's so difficult.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it hurts even more. So when you get that like 30-year-old, 31-year-old that puts up their tombstone, and you're just like, oh crap, like I don't have this guy as long as I'd like to, So ideally you get them until they're 35. If they put it up when they're 32, 33, like you can handle that. Like, not a big deal. But the young ones, you're just like, what the heck is happening? And my theory is, my guys are like, well, we've already won 2 titles. We don't need to do this anymore. I'm going to go retire and kind of chill hard in Ibiza. So that's what I'm figuring that, my left back, Tom Davidson's going to do. So he's like, I'm 98. I don't need to do much more here. So
yeah, he sucked. And there was another one I remember seeing. Which one was that? Gerard as well. He'd only gone to like a bloody thing. It's like, he's only 31. Come on.
Most of them are on the Amigos as well.
Yeah. I don't like Gerard. Like, he screws up so much. But like I said at the start, though, defense is not good. So it's just like, whatever you have, you just go with it and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Rory, as far as CDMs, I might have an extra one for you. So just DM me after the show. We'll try to figure something out for you and help you out.
Sounds good. Definitely.
Out of the 20 players on the Amigos and Diamond, we have 10 retiring. So half of them are retiring. So,
I mean, yeah, brutal. It sounds like Soul too. Like, it's just like everybody's done. Like, just straight done. So, it's going to be hard to keep things going together. And I said at the start, David, like, my goal is at this point to stay up in Diamond, which sounds insane after winning it last season. But you lose a lot of guys every single year. And it's not always easy to maintain, as Big Will said the other day when he was talking to a number of people.
Yeah.
It's not easy to keep it up. You have to bring in guys that are older, and you basically take gambles on some of the older guys and hope that they don't retire. They can keep you where you are. But we're seeing that, how many ultimates actually get made every single season? Like, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 go to ultimate on average throughout the course of a season.
Yeah.
So
we're getting like 15 retiring every season, sort of from next season, end of next season onwards. So, it's tough. But yeah. How do you go about building your teams then?
I've taken the Sid method of using the MFL that I have to buy older players that are more or less diamond ready. So it's quite honestly the only way in my eyes to do it, because perfect world, I'd love to be able to get progression guys, like open packs, get guys that progress. But the reality of the situation is that 1 out of like 5,000 packs are going to actually progress to be higher than like 92 or 93. So you play the reality game or you play the other game, right? And you hope. And I'm not about hoping. So I bought packs in the past. And so of 390 to 94 packs I have not picked up a single stat in 3 to 4 seasons on any of those cards. So that's just a big no. So now I used my MFL last season to buy older players, and I think only one of them got a tombstone. So I'm okay with that. So you have to refill, and it just drops. You know, the overall quality of Diamond, I think, is going to start dropping soon because, like I said a minute ago, the number of ultimates that are being made is not even close to the pace to the number of ultimates that we're retiring.
I suspect in a few seasons that sort of like we'll start to see legendary teams doing well in Diamond, you know, with maybe 3 or 4 ultimates on them. But, you know, it's just the way it's going. And, you know, I know Ronan is obviously set up. He's been buying a lot of the younger sort of ultimate guys, but even he will hurt in like a few seasons' time, and it's tough. But yeah. Before we move on, say hello to a few more people in the chat who have got in here. Root Cause says he is home but sick post-holiday bug. Wow, that serves you right, doesn't it? All these holidays, you know, you're bound to get ill eventually. But Man United Toby in the chat, afternoon to you. Mazer in the chat. Dan FC, last time Amrezy was on Jimbo's pack stream, there was a Lego pack. Amrezy is on the stream again later. There we go. Kev, it's all set up for you. Please come on, pull that pink card.
Surely has to happen.
And then we've got Sid in the chat. Hello, Sid. How are you, sir? Sid, I mean, I don't even think it's a sneaky, but I've predicted the title in Diamond like 2 out of the last 3 seasons. I think it could be Sid this season. I've never said Sid before, but I'm thinking Sid this season. Who else have we got in here? Adam. Billy Bremner, aka Billy Bremner. Who's going to the London meetup or London Belter? But I'm definitely going. I live in London, so I will be going along. Rory, I believe you're going.
Yeah, booked my flights there the other day, so I'll be there for it.
Nice. Kev, unfortunately, his selfish daughter has decided to be born on the day of the meetup, so she'll be having a party instead, which Kev really can't wait for. All those mummies he's going to be chatting to. And Bob, I doubt you'll be flying from upstate New York, will you?
I will not be. But I swear, like every single time there's an MFL event going on, one of Kev's daughters has a birthday. He must have like 14 daughters or something.
Been a busy chap, hasn't he?
Yeah, right?
It's just horrific timing every time. I mean, either way, I'm going to spend the same money, whether it's a few £100 on her birthday or a few £100 flying to London. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I'd much rather be with you boys than be at my daughter's birthday party. So there you go.
I hope she's not listening.
He is out of the house right now, so I can get away with saying
that. Toby says 4-4-1-1 should be pretty stable. Not sure I trust 4-3-3 false 9 or 4-3-2-1 with how little the engine seems to have changed. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm waiting for that like message in the dev notes or a little message saying engine rebalancing has been done, because that's normally the time when you can sort of like get a little bit of a clue that things like different formations might start to work. Andrew Q's in there. Afternoon, Andrew. Loved seeing you on Amrezy, and it was just about the right amount of time since you did your, deep end splurge. It was really nice to hear from you again. Hoodwink saying, "Can we not talk about retirement? It's too sad." Yeah, it is very sad. Toby asked, "Mr. Monkey, does Waters want to return to the Patron Saints?" Probably. Yeah, I'll say probably, but let me check. I still haven't built all my teams, as I said. I was a little bit busy yesterday, but yeah, we'll go through that. And Jimbo should be about 16 to 22 of us. Yeah, that sounds like a decent number. But engine testing, like, start off with, like, I'm not sure how many people use these, but let's we'll already got so many bloody tabs open. Where are we? So to start off with, I think it's probably best to talk about the information that you can get from testing. So guys, jump in whenever you want, but I will basically, let's take this example of a match that I played against Ybor City, Big Wilbert's team in the playoffs. To be fair, I was expecting him to play a 4-1-3-2, which I'd prepped for and thought I could do quite well. He flipped it around, played this, who actually is a formation that I was doing better against last season, but he got a red card in the first half and he was on top. And after that, I sort of ran to victory. But if I'm looking at like an opponent for a game, then I'll take Ybor City. And some of the things I'm looking for are they playing direct? Often you can tell that by looking at this little percentage here, the possession. If the possession's a little bit lower, it often means that they're pumping balls forward. And if they're playing direct, then maybe you don't want to play with a high line. You know, it doesn't. You don't. If you're a completely OP team, then obviously some of this is irrelevant because you'll probably beat them anyway. The second thing I look for is heat maps. Now, I've always loved heat maps, and the first thing I look for is width. Now, in this poor formation or poor match to choose because he doesn't have any width because he's playing narrow.
Width and freedom, isn't it?
Well, exactly, yeah. So you can tell from the width, obviously, quite easily because you can see how far they are up against the byline, and depending on how wide they are, is how narrow I want to set the defense. So if they're playing really wide, then I won't go really narrow on the defense because it's likely that, you know, their wingers or left or right mids will get in behind. It's a lot easier. The second thing you can find is the freedom of a player. Looks like he has high freedom on this because you tend to get width on this when they're high freedom. So they'll be a lot wider and you'll see them propping up into different areas. If they were on like regular freedom or narrow freedom, then the heat map would be a lot more like this, just going straight up. So I would say that Big Wilbert had high freedom on this. I don't know whether he's going to be in the chat. He's going to tell me I'm wrong. But that is one of the first things I look for. So the width when I'm setting a tactic. And then I also look for the depth of the team. So in this instance, Big Wilbert had been playing with a high line previously, and it looks like he went with the whole lower line. So a high line, you then tend to see the heat, like the red dot around here, and it'll be going, you know, a little bit more into there. In this case, it's a lot lower. So I think he's gone with a low line, compact, using the fullbacks for the width for this formation. Guys, how do you go about, like, when you're looking to build a tactic specifically for an opponent, do you look at those sort of details? And is there anything else that you look at? You want to go?
Yeah.
Rory, you jump in.
Look, definitely looking at, like you said there, depth and width. I actually wouldn't really look at freedom much because I feel like sometimes those freedom maps are a bit all over the place. Like sometimes even if you have your own striker.
The only reason I'm looking at freedom is if I'm looking to set up a tactic myself to test against that specific formation.
Yeah.
And then I can set up like the players on high freedom. But you're right, you can't really defend against high freedom necessarily.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes, I think, as well, if they have it on or not. Well, I just find it anyway. Sometimes like the player just does what he wants anyway on medium freedom. Could be all over the pitch.
True.
I like looking at the shot maps, definitely one. Like I have noticed sometimes trying to prepare for someone and you can see them shooting 10 long shots. And you're thinking, okay, well, we know that he's going to try have a crack from distance. We might tighten up a bit or press up on him a bit more, stuff like that, to stop the long shot. And then obviously the report's handy. You can check, you know, last season, this guy's crossed, 500,000 times every single game. I know what he's going to be trying to do. If you can stop it or not, that remains to be seen. But the report's always a handy one looking at for your own testing and stuff as well, just to see who's doing what and who's getting dribbled past. It's something I look at like a lot of the time after games.
Same here, pretty much exact same as you and David. I'll also check what they've lost to when they've used that formation as well.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah, but exact same analysis to you guys. I mean, possession tells you if they're playing controlled, balanced, or direct. Heat maps tells you a lot. Shot chart tells you a lot. Yeah, and just look for weaknesses, really. Do they have like a lower rated left back that you can go after? Things like that. But yeah, pretty much the exact same as you two boys.
What about you, Bob?
I don't know if you guys use the MFL Leaks extension, but that's also handy for setting up, because you can go onto the upcoming matches and it'll give you their squad list with like who has what fitness and if someone's suspended or not.
Hmm.
So you sometimes can see like, oh, this guy, his center back is 88 fitness, his best center back. He might not play him. He might be playing a weaker center back on the left side. So I like doing that as well. It's a great little extension that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have that set up. Let me see if I can show you. So there's this little MFL Leaks here. It's in the Chrome extensions, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So if you go in there, load it up, then when you go into, unfortunately, I haven't got any games upcoming, but if you go into one of your teams, then as Rory just said,
I love it for progression as well.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good for telling you which ones are going to progress, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So when you go into tactics and you select the team here, that what it'll do is it pulls a little overlay up here with their squad in, the formation they've played most in the last 5 games, and it will show you the fitness of all of their players, so you can get an idea. Like I use it for, especially the lower teams. I find it quite useful because when you're going in there, I'm not too bothered about the results. Often I'm using them for just testing more than anything. So I just go in there and it gives you a quick glance, doesn't it? Like what you could be playing against, and if you need to make any tactical tweaks. Like, because what I'm talking about in terms of how I go through the process, I don't do it for every team. I haven't got that much time. I do it for the teams that matter, which this season will perhaps be 2 or 3 teams.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about Ricky's tool. Dan's just mentioned it again in chat. I need to check that out and have a look.
I feel like that's going to be clipped and repeated.
Ricky's tool, yeah. I love Ricky's tool.
It is, yeah. No, I saw he's posted a few updates recently. In fact, I was speaking to him yesterday about a tool that would be useful for squad building. I need to tap him up again and speak to him about that. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff out there now, isn't there, that people are building? Yeah. Ricky's done some great stuff. This MFL Leaks is decent as well. Bob, anything you do differently when you're setting up your teams?
I do everything different from what they just talked about.
Good. We don't want everyone to agree. How do you go about it?
I used to do what they do. I've gotten to a point now where I understand how the attacking is working, and I already know enough, especially at the diamond level, of how people are going to attack me. So I have base setups with all those kind of things, compact, all those pieces that I like to use that are comfortable for my teams, because I know where my attacks are going to come from typically. And then there are a number of formations that can follow that. So if I want to use wide mids, I can run a 4-1-2-1-2, a 4-4-2, a 4-3-1-2. And they do similar things and they function in similar ways in a number of different pieces. The adjustments that I will make typically are to my wide mids and to my fullbacks, depending on where people are attacking me. So if people are attacking me using their left back and right back, I can adjust that and I can kind of box that out with how I set up my wide mids. Those are the only things I typically do these days, because my talent level is high enough where I want people to have to come in and beat me. Like I shouldn't be having to adjust or be afraid of Kev or Rory or you when you play your teams. You guys should be changing for me. And that's my overall attitude of how it works, because my guys are class. I have a system that I really kind of hammered in last season, that works very well across all levels of teams. And I do switch around. I have a lot of options, especially at lower levels, for who my left mids, right mids will be. I can swap them back and forth, do whatever I need to do. Same thing with my fullbacks. But I like keeping them where they are. I like figuring out and testing specifically how goals are being scored, because that will determine whether or not I'm wide on my defense or I'm compact on my defense. Right now in testing, I'm seeing that cutbacks, guys are trying to do cutbacks, but the way that the AI, the engine is handling that is that defenders are sliding in and acting like a second goalkeeper. And defenders are saving a lot of those cutback goals from going in now. So that's telling me I want to play a little bit more compact in defense because I want to clog up the middle a little bit. I'm less concerned about crosses, but I'm still getting beat over the top. So how do you handle that? Like, those are the things that I'm trying to think about, David.
Yeah.
And I'm letting you guys attack. You know,
100%.
and a lot of my creation starts wide, and we've talked about this before. So seasons where a narrow creation up and down the middle of the pitch, when that's the way to do it, I struggle a ton. It's just that's not how my team is set up. It's not how any of my teams are built. And what I like about my setup is that I can use it down the chain a long ways. I mean, I use it, I force it into other areas too. And so that 4-1-3-2 switched to a 4-3-1-2 that I was running with Soul last season. I used it completely on the exact same setup on my silver team with Black Sea. And I absolutely curb stomped that league as well. And same thing with, Saltine and Bronze. So I have pieces that work well that take advantage of two strikers. And that's kind of how I focus. So I don't look at the heat maps. I'm not worried about freedom or what other people are doing. Because if somebody is going to be risky with their defenders or their mids, I can almost guarantee you that my wide mids are better than your wide mids, but I'm going to take advantage of it. Just from an AI perspective. So
yeah, no, 100%. And when you've got a better team, I think you need to be, less concerned. Like, certainly in leagues where I've built OP teams, I don't do any opposition research because I know I'm going to beat that team anyway. It's just a case of maybe using that team for testing if it's in a lower league and testing new formations or not testing new tactics and stuff like that, see how it works. But you touched on something then, which is something I mentioned a few seasons ago, which how I look at an engine is, one, I want to know how goals are scored and can I stop those goals being scored. Now, last season, people were saying that the crosses were, it was impossible to stop crosses going, goals being scored from crosses. But lots of smart people, I think I heard Jack mention it, Work the Space on with Jimbo. I heard Big Mr. K mention it, and I'm absolutely sure lots of people, the compactness was the way to stop them. Not necessarily stop the cross. It was impossible to stop crosses coming in. It looks like, a lot of smart people came to the same conclusion after doing testing. What you could do is run a tight block. So when those crosses came in, there's too much narrow space in the middle. So what would happen is they would get the shot off, but it would be blocked.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Bob's just said. Now, this season, will it work exactly the same way? We don't know yet. One, because we haven't got the final engine, and two, because I certainly haven't done enough testing to work it out yet. And that will be starting over the next few days. But yeah, no, I think 100%. There's always ways to stop the goals that people think are impossible to stop, or at least limit them. The through ball goal a few seasons ago, where everyone said, "Oh, it's impossible to stop through balls." I had a ridiculous formation, which I can't remember exactly, but it was something like this.
There was a good way to stop crosses last season. 5 at the back. That was the best way.
Yeah, because you have more defenders there, especially if you could play tighter block and then wider going up and then
play a higher line. And the wing backs would stop the crosses come in. And then you'd have the 3 at the back for the long balls as well. So yeah, that's why 5 at the backs were so overpowered last engine.
Yeah, they were. That was probably, I think, the 4-1-3-2 and 5 back formations were the only two that I struggled with as the season went on. I played them again. I wanted to test it in the experimental engine, and actually I was doing better this season against those formations. So maybe they won't be quite as OP, but yeah, it is quite difficult trying to work that sort of stuff out. But
yeah,
when you Rory, when you've done some testing in this engine so far, what are you looking for in the matches you're playing?
It is always the first thing is looking how to score goals, because you need goals. You need to score to win games. That's the whole point. So always looking what seems effective, what doesn't seem effective. What am I, how common are the cross goals from last season? You can kind of tell pretty quickly that they're going to be the way to go. This season, I'm not really seeing a super clear way to go as of yet, but I haven't got into my testing as much as I really would have liked to. But like, you need to see how to score, and then how to stop that is also the next point. You need to look at the defense second, I think. Look at the attack first, and go from there. I've just been running a few friendlies kind of late at night. I'm not really looking at them. It's just to get some data. I'd like to get like just some stats first before actually looking at too much.
It's difficult.
So like, I'm running.
I like, people spoke a lot about crosses. There was a lot of crosses in the game last season. I did a little bit of like research, and actually the number of crosses that were going in was similar to the season before, and similar to the season before that. It's just that the goals were being successful. Like in previous seasons, it would come to nothing. Defender would clear it, or more likely the goalkeeper would just come out and claim it. And like, attackers were scoring goals last season from crosses. But yeah, it is quite difficult, sort of like when you're looking through sort of engines, like especially in terms of sort of early testing, as like all you guys have said, it's quite difficult to work out, where to go with an engine until we get the final version of the engine. Billy,
but like the crossing thing last season, like, crossing wasn't good unless you ran with like wide mids and fullbacks, and that people figured that out really quickly, I think. But your crosses weren't good with your wingers, so you need to have the right setup to score the meta way. It's like a few seasons ago, you needed wingers to score cutbacks the whole time, and it wouldn't really work as well with wide mid. So you kind of need to figure out like which way you want to set up your team, and the most effective way of scoring for that setup, rather than figuring out, oh, crossing's really good, let me put my wingers on cross more, and it just doesn't work. You need to have the right setup and play it from there.
You're 100% right, Rory. And I think that people misconstrue what crosses are great and crosses are used a lot means. Because I think, David, what you're describing is not how I consider crossing, not what I consider crossing. I don't consider crossing feeding the ball to Becklin, who's a 99 physical, and just letting him knock it in the goal. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what caused problems in the engine last season. What causes problems with crossing, the reason the crossing is good is because you're switching fields more often, and the defenders are too slow to react to it, which then opens you up for wide open, more space to get goals. I just scored a goal against Kevin testing where my guy just switched fields, kicked it up to the center forward, who then cut across and just dropped it into the striker, who knocked it in the net. That's how goals are being scored, more so than you might imagine, than just the take it down to the byline and cross for a header or a corner kick kind of goal. It's the switching of the fields and the quick attack from that that's actually creating more wide open space and retreating of the defense. So I love seeing a cross across the field. Like, when you're crossing across, when you're switching the ball, like, there's a high probability that you're having a really good shot on goal. So I don't think it's so much forcing crosses into a lone striker. And I think that might be like one of the things that 4-3-3A really struggled with. You have to, instead of setting up your wingers to be your crossers, what you're actually doing is you're playing your 4-3-3A considerably wider, and you're setting up your center mids to be your crossers. Like, that's kind of how you need to adjust these sort of things, because it's all about switching the ball. And as it turns out, your fullbacks are really good at switching the ball if your center mids or your wide mids are wide enough to get it. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like, the one thing they did say, like when they were talking about this season's engine, was that they were going to try and reduce the effectiveness of crossfield balls. It's difficult to do because every division from Diamonds down to Flint uses the same engine. So like, yes, it can be a bit weird seeing like a 40 rated passer pinging those balls across the pitch. I don't know. I think Bob, maybe even you have mentioned maybe they should have a separate engine for Diamond and stuff like that. I don't think they ever go down that route, but it would make sense because like you expect Diamond teams to play in a different way and to have more success in those sort of long passes across the pitch than you would do a Flint team.
I think the best way to achieve that is just to get the players to do what their stats actually say. Like a Flint guy with 40 passing shouldn't be raking 80-yard passes and straight on a striker's head,
See, I disagree, though. because
Nah.
occasionally your 40 passer has a moment of glory where he just hits a perfect ball. And you're only seeing the highlights. You're not seeing the 15 passes. So when you look at the stats, and your guy was 1 for 8 in crosses, and the only one you saw was him paying that beautiful 45-yard crossball to your striker's head, you're like, wow, that is completely OP. What you didn't realize is that his other 7 passes, they ended up in like freaking Birmingham. Like they're just nowhere near where they're supposed to go. And so, I mean, I've seen enough highlights where balls just get kicked out of bounds. Like, okay, like that makes more sense, and
100% agree with you there.
It's like when you cross and when you screw up across the pitch and it gets intercepted, that's just as bad, if not worse, than when your goalkeeper just punts it down the pitch, waiting to get stolen. So, like, there's a pro and con to all of these things because counter goals happen more than you might think, but we're just focusing on the crosses being OP. But I think overall, you have a lot of goals scored from crosses, but you're also getting a lot of opponent goals scored from crosses too because of mistakes.
I completely agree with you, Bob, because like people always ignore the fact that all they're seeing is highlights. They're seeing like minute amounts of a long game. And even me, if I was playing in a Flint team, I would guarantee that one game I would ping a pass and it would be like bloody Messi's pass. But the other 99% of the time, they would literally spray off in all directions.
Yeah, I do it like 15 times every single match. And, if I hit one and that wins the match and we win 1-0, like I am the greatest player in the world. It doesn't matter that I turn the ball over 95% of the time, right? Like that's the reality of how this kind of stuff works, and especially at the lower levels, but we see it at the higher levels too. Like it's throughout the entire game, and I don't think that there should be another engine for Diamond. It's way too hard to maintain. I know that we have different engines for the Cup, and that's different enough as is.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. So, and the reason I say that is, and Bruce made a great point. So what happens at the end of your match in the regular season, David, when it's 1-1 at the end of 90 minutes?
Nothing.
You draw, right? What happens in the knockout phases when it ends 1-1 in the knockout phases of a cup?
Assuming a different engine from that point of view. Okay.
It goes to extra time.
Yeah.
And then it goes to PKs. So therefore the engine is different.
Yeah.
And we don't know what those cascading effects have. So technically it is different. It has different parts. And as we've talked about many, many times, it's like the law of unintended consequences. So any small change could affect anything else as we go through. And I couldn't put my finger on what any of it is. All I know is that I'm not nearly as good in cups as I am in league.
Got Bastian in the chat, and he's putting a thinking face.
So, but I mean, just from basic stuff, and I love crosses. I think it's cool. I mean, I loved the cutback meta because I had the players to take advantage of it. But I also think the wingers are getting a little stronger this season too. And if you're trying to go a pace dribbling to the byline and cut back, it's going to work more than you might imagine. It's just going to get blocked a lot because Bastian and the team have been really good about programming the defenders to fall back into a tight block and block those passes to stop them from going in. So there are updates that are made. There is balance that goes on. But like you said at the start, still the defense is not up to par currently in this version of the engine. Just too many goals are going on. This is not a scenario where Frag is winning like 30-0, against like crap teams. These are like even teams.
Well, on the screen at the moment, I've got the friendly that you were talking about between you and Kev, and it's currently 4-4.
I'm amazed I'm keeping up with us and doing well.
Yeah. But David, look at that friendly. Like, look where all of the goals are coming from.
I haven't watched these two because I fast forwarded a bit, but yeah, there's been quite a variety. There's been a through ball, there's been some cutbacks, there has been a cross as well, but it's been a big variety of goals.
But look, so right now, between our wide mids, so we're playing 4 wide mids, there are 4 assists and 2 goals coming from wide mids. Right? So, wide mids seem okay. So and this is kind of how I'm looking through these things. And the reason I put this together, I just threw together a 4-1-1 to use that center forward Jordy that you were talking about, David. I wanted to see what would happen, you know, and I'm certainly not stopping anything, obviously, defensively. So
yeah, Kev's smashing you. Well, not smashing you, but he's creating a shitload of chances.
Yeah,
he absolutely is. Absolutely is. And this is what I'm talking about on the defensive side of things, right? Now, I can't remember. I don't think I have my defenders on high or anything like that, but they are certainly driving the struggle bus. And this is not just this team. This is every single team. I mean, you know, so we'll see what happens.
So I can see from the heat maps that you're playing a high line with Saltine.
Am I?
Yep. You haven't got high freedom on your fullbacks.
Oh yeah, I'm playing a really high line. Holy shnikes.
Yikes. And you aren't massively wide either.
That's what
yeah. So those are things you can sort of pick up. But yeah, high line
Dave,
might be the way to go forward.
I'm very wide. Like very
playing direct, then no wonder he's doing well. But I don't know whether you are or not. It's difficult to tell just from that. But
David, I think it's blasphemous that anybody that plays this game is not playing direct.
You think? I've never played controlled. I always play either direct or balanced. But
I still like balanced.
If you don't like winning, play balanced or controlled.
But balanced is a mix of controlled and direct, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's no fun. Like that's like.
But
I don't know. I mean,
goals.
I've won diamond twice, and I've never played a single match at any level that's not direct.
I do prefer direct. I always have over every engine, but yeah, balanced past couple engines has been really good for me.
Yeah.
Did you ever mix up individual players with a bit of balanced on them or a bit of controlled on them? Yeah.
I still don't use controlled individually. I never do. I know a lot of people do on their center backs and stuff, but I've never liked it.
So I mean, part of the problem with playing more direct though too is that you're going to take weird passes and weird angles and stuff, and you're going to turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. So, like but with my mentality, I'm not worried about turning the ball over. I'm pure offense. Like I would rather gouge my eyes out than watch my CBs, play like Ajax of the old days where the CBs are playing in the final third and they're just tapping the ball back and forth to the center mids, constantly back and forth, just like pinging it back and forth for absolutely no purpose. That eventually people get bored on the back end, they take a nap, and then you pass the ball through. Like that sucks. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to play a tiki-taka kind of match. Like I'm going all out. And so I think everybody in Diamond knows that. Like it's pretty obvious based on my scores and the fact that when you watch a Brian game, it's very defensive and his game ends in like 5 minutes. And then you switch to a Bob game and Bob's game hasn't even gotten past 25 minutes by the time a Brian game is over, because 100%. It's already 4-0, So, yeah.
We've got Billy Bremner in the chat says, does the MFL Leaks extension work on iPad? I honestly don't know, but I wouldn't have thought so unless you can install Chrome on that, because it goes with Chrome. Maybe they've built it for like Apple now as well. I honestly don't know. I use it on Chrome and I only use it on my desktop or laptop. But yeah. But
when do you want to do the duck race?
How much longer have you guys got?
Probably another 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes. We'll do it towards the end then. Yeah, if I know, Bob, I think you only had an hour, didn't you? If you do need to duck, just say you got to go and then disappear. But yeah, I guess like in terms of just having a quick look, I think balancing the CMs is pretty important. So we look through some of the stuff. And Dollar Club, afternoon to you, sir. Rory, when you're like building a tactic for next season for your teams, like, do you have all of your teams playing a similar way?
Yeah, I try to. I think most of my teams are pretty similarly set up. I kind of focus on profiles and players most of the time.
And
The only guys that wouldn't be in a similar profile are like the progression beasts you just randomly get that are part of your squads now. Like I have one Cam who's a very good passer and dribbler, but no pace on him, and that's not usually how I'd use my Cams. But he's gone from like a 50 rated player to or a 60 rated player to an 88, so he's in my team. But usually I try to keep something balanced the whole way through, and I might tweak it occasionally based on opponent, like we were talking about earlier. I might switch up a little bit here, a little bit there, but I try to keep the same gist over the whole rank of squads. Yeah,
it's quite interesting as well. Like I think that last season on 3 occasions, the last one being in Monkey Vikings, beat a team 4-0. A team I'd loaned a few players to, run by Dodzilla, asked me what tactics, or I can't remember that, or maybe I offered the tactics that I used for that match, and I sent them over to him, and I think he used identical tactics, but with a completely different formation against that team, and he got exactly the same score because we worked out how the opposition played, and they didn't change the team. So I think sometimes if you find a tactic that works, it can work across setup that works. It can work over multiple formations, and I think that's sort of like part of the game. But it was quite interesting.
I also have I kind of have tactics for like individual. Like if I'm playing against Bob, I'll play a certain way, and if I'm playing against for example, like I had against Risu, I'd play a certain way, and against other people, I'd play a certain way. Just from playing them in leagues for a while, you kind of get used to your opponents, what they're going to do and what you might do to try to stop them. So I have like a little catalog between all my teams of save tactics called, we'll say like Risu, Bob, Kev, stuff like that I'll switch into.
It's 100%. Like I know, like next season I'll be playing Bruce again for the first time. Like I didn't play him at all last season because we were in the same leagues. He got promoted the season before. And his best team, Black Mambo, who I'm expected to be OP from listening to his pod. I haven't listened to last night's yet, but I'm expecting them to be OP. Well, I think one of my teams, the Fire, who I think will be my second strongest team, will be going into that league. Now, I shouldn't imagine they're going to be anywhere near as strong as Bruce, but I know how Bruce tends to play. And we do sort of share tactics. I'm not sure how much sharing we're going to be doing for those specific games, but it's quite interesting when you build relationships. Like Bob, you must have found that in Diamond. Like you're playing a lot of the same managers season in, season out. You get to understand how they play. And do you tweak your tactics at all? I know that you said that like you set your tactics like these are my tactics, come and beat me. But do you ever make tweaks for certain opponents?
Yeah, of course. It comes down to where people are attacking and how they're attacking typically. And so what I'm really looking for is where you're filtering the ball and then where your attacks are generated. If you are getting a lot of goals that are being created by your right back or your left back, I'm playing a formation that's wide enough that has the tools that usually will typically have wide mids that can close the gaps and spaces because the fullbacks need space. And so if I'm playing wide mids, they can close the space. What does that actually mean? Does that mean I put them on aggressive? So they are constantly charging forward to close space? Does it mean that I'm playing high? Like, what does that mean? And that's different based on my opponents. Now, if somebody's going through the middle, I'm not going to leave my middle open with just, 2 regular CMs. I want a CM in there. I want to clog the middle a bit. I want to. If people are attacking through the middle, I might go a 4-1-2-1-2. So I'm jamming the middle with, a center, a CDM, and a cam, right? I'm trying to close those gaps. I'm trying to make it so it's more difficult to get through, and I might play a little tighter, right? So there are some things that I'll switch around, but those are the main things. I'm not usually like adjusting my depth and height too much. Like obviously I will do some. I'm not going to give away all my secrets, but I'll make certain adjustments for certain people. I also know that there are a number of people you need to make adjustments for, and I feel like there aren't people that you'd have to make adjustments for. Especially my team last season very unique in that it was very, very, very strong. One of the strongest teams we've seen going through. So there were not as many updates or changes that I needed to make to the system because other people were affected by my system, which is a great place to be in, and with Ronan struggling, like Ronan's one of those people I have to make adjustments for. If he's not playing well, I'm not as concerned about making big adjustments to counter, Ben his right back from attacking, etc. So it really depends on who I'm playing against and how well they're playing. And yeah.
Strength of team as well. Like you never need to adjust anything against me, but if it's Dio or Ronan, Sid, for sure.
But and so of course at time, and like you can win and lose any match, which is why the run I went on was kind of insane, right? So you need a lot of luck to get there too. It wasn't every game that I just absolutely smashed. I won a number of games like 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, kind of stuff like that. But that's how championship teams do it. Like they don't win every game 30-0, especially at the top levels. So some adjustments are made constantly, and Kev can tell you there's a ton of testing that goes on from my perspective. I mean, I am constantly running test matches against Kev, against Sid, against Brian. And what's nice about having friends at that level that have teams of the same status is that if you are testing against somebody, so say Brian is going to play Sturge. We know Sturge is playing a 4-4-2. Yeah. Brian can look at all of our teams and say, hey, Kev, your team is the closest in OVR to Sturge's team. Can you put your 4-4-2 up for a bit? I just want to see if any of my stuff basically works at a very base level. And then I'll make adjustments from there based on what I know about Sturge. And so that's what you tend to see a lot in the testing. We figure it out. And we do know enough about who the top players are for each team and how to stop them. Like this season, I have to worry about Kev having Turto up front, which is going to be miserable to stop, right? And I gave away McLeod to Brian. And so, like, I have to stop him too. Like, it's one thing to know how to stop them. It's another thing to watch your own guys absolutely tear you apart.
Has Brian changed his agent name to Brian from sure. I see. But yeah. Where are we?
So he's got LFE now. And I've got the Amigos.
Oh, yeah, the Amigos. I was looking there. Where are the Amigos? And this is obviously last season's table. But, yeah. But,
to your point there, David, real quick, like if you pull up, like I'm running another friendly against Kev with the same formations, but I changed the line from being super high suicide to being more realistic. Then all of a sudden, instead of Kev getting 4.5 XG, he's sitting at 1 XG at 88 minutes. You know what I mean? So like there are subtle changes that we use this preseason for to get the feel for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And
much better, Bob.
Often it takes a bit of time to sort of fall into a formation. And sometimes, like, if you're a manager and you don't do much testing, then, sometimes trying extreme things is a way to go. Like, last season I played really compact against certain managers. I've never played that compact before, but it worked. The season before that or the season before that, I played like with a line at 0%, the defensive line. That was something I never thought I'd do to start the season. So don't be afraid to test sort of weird stuff, especially if you've got a team that isn't OP for your division. I think it's even more important that you sort of, do testing and stuff like that. But yeah.
David, this is real life too, though, right? Like, I know you guys are from the UK, but like the United States, our US men's national team just got absolutely hammered by Belgium and Portugal, and they didn't even look involved in either of the matches. And there's a lot of talk about, does Pochettino need to change his tactics or make tweaks to get Pulisic going? And it's not always just about Pulisic going. When you're running something and your midfielders are doing nothing and they're not being productive and on their back heels all the time, that's not necessarily a problem with Pulisic. That's a problem with how you have your spacing and what the guys are doing in your midfield with what's going on. And so even like professional managers are making tactical updates and changes that kind of meet what your guys do best. And that's a big part of it. Instead of forcing guys into a certain formation, you have to make some slight tweaks. And you have to explain to, Seb Berhalter or Tyler Adams or whomever how they need to act in this role. But it's hard to beat, 25 years of training out of somebody's head for what they're supposed to do. And like that's what we run into when you have national teams, and you have national teams that are not the quality of England. They're not the quality of Belgium or Portugal, and they're trying to play catch up, right?
Well,
Because in my eyes,
so
yeah, well, but like in my eyes, Japan is like a platinum side. England is a diamond side. You will occasionally get an upset. So Japan is White House's Montevideo that beat Seoul in Diamond and Titans last season. It happens from time to time. There is a right formation. The guys do the right things. But, the Germanys of the world are the metas, or the meta mercenaries. The Hollands are, the Dutch team is Dio. Like, we know who these teams are, the top teams, and they're usually going to be pretty tight. But the platinum teams, the gold teams, the United States is more of a gold team than anything else. But on any given night, a gold team can come in there and score a couple goals, right? And cause some problems when it comes through. So there's a big balance shift, and it happens in real life. And that's just mainly my point. Like, everyone is constantly making adjustments and tweaks based on what you need, but you have to understand what your players are good at and what they're good at doing. And that's where, at least we as the United States, struggle a lot when we try to get to international play.
Trust says, please don't bring up the US men's national team. Who's having a good morning.
Yeah.
At least they're in the World Cup.
Yeah, true. I mean, they could be fragile in Italy. So
that one's like 3 World Cups on the spin now. They haven't made, but yeah.
Got it for you, Rory. I think you wanted to go to Mexico as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I would have been there. I think half the country would have been there if we got through.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, tough. At least the Czechs got in, and it wasn't for nothing, They beat Denmark in the end.
True.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
which is good for us. Because
I've never seen Ireland go 2-0 up in football, and it was uncharted territories. Like, never seen something like it. And then they ended up bottling it, which is more usual.
Oh man,
I missed the charge of Ireland.
Yeah, it would have been great if they're in for the World Cup game mode. If hopefully we're getting one in the end. And when it comes around, would have loved to have tried to manage the Irish team, but unfortunately not.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do that.
But so we've got Andy officials in the chat. CONCACAF region getting better. Yeah, it is getting better. They've got a few teams like that going there. It's going to be a fun World Cup.
Real quick, David, if you were offered England, would you want to coach them? Would you want to manage the English team if like MFL did a World Cup, David?
Maybe not the top one. I feel like that should be Jimbo for redemption. But if they did multiple levels, then I'd love to manage one of the England teams. Yeah.
Kev, I assume you would love to manage Scotland.
I would like to hope I would get one of the better Scottish teams in that case. Yeah. But right. I'd be easy, whoever.
Yeah, Jimbo, it has to be you. Has to be redemption, like the redemption arc. But
I have no problem with Jimbo managing it. If he's going to bottle it, like I'll just take an easy win and move on with my life.
Right. Let's get up this duck race then. So we're going to duck race for who's going to be managing the Ramble team this season.
Yes.
These are all of the entries. Anything you want to say, Kev, before we started off?
Yeah, just that I've already made some moves for the prospective manager. So we have 6 players signed up for 27% rev share, all between 84 and 90 rated. So it's a very nice start for them.
Exactly, yeah. And hopefully we'll get this transferred over as soon as possible so they can get working on the team. But they're in silver, obviously, again this season.
They're in silver, and they can add all 5 staff as well as themselves if they like. So, and just divvy up the rev share as they see fit.
I don't know how I'd feel about Root Cause winning it. Like a rival podcast winning it and running it, they'd maybe like run it into the ground. But
well, Sid's in there. There's a few.
I want to run it.
Right, let's run it. 2 minutes.
Let's go it.
Here we go.
Put me in there.
Get Bob in there.
What are we doing? 2 minutes.
Bald Sherlock's in there again. I'm not sure if I should have let him have another shot. back to back. But
He did a decent job, didn't he?
Sorry, guys.
He did a decent job, didn't he? So
He did very well, but we should probably dish it out to someone else for the second season.
just give him a shuffle. And starting now. Let's turn that racket off. And that racket off.
Did you add Bob?
Oh shit, no.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's already started.
Sorry, Bob.
Can co-manage with Sid if Sid wins it.
Yeah. So anybody
whoever
that's
wins
at the
it,
front now
If
is
they want, they can put me on the staff.
Yeah, exactly, Bob. We'll get you in the staff.
Bold Sherlock sitting in the rear. That is not a good sign. It could be back-to-back wins. But yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see who gets it though, and obviously we can help. I don't know if Bob or Monkey or Rory have got any spare Legos for the Ramble team. Rory massively helped us last season.
I think I need them this season now. Unfortunately, things are getting a bit tight with retirements coming in and having to play some guys on red. You know, you need an extra player in there for rotations and stuff. So,
what about David? Any spare Legos for us?
I honestly don't know yet. I haven't finished building the teams. Especially this season, like I'm going to have one team, like probably the Fire, that are going to be able to run left mid, right mid. So I need the left mid Lego. So I honestly don't know yet. I'll have a look. I'll know later on today though.
Right.
So, in general, David, are you starting to add more left mids and right mids to your team to make it more well-rounded, so you're not always in the 4-3-3-D?
Just a couple of teams.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced I can get 4-3-3-D to work, but I do want the flexibility this season if it doesn't work.
Well, I've said this before, just like if you're not certain about it, run your 4-3-3-D to start off the season. Then when you get to your cup matches, drop in your new stuff, like drop in your wide mids. And I know cup is really important to you. Like I always use cup to test other lineups and other formations that I think could be really good.
Going right at the end.
Last
Toby
turn.
wins it. Toby.
Okay, Toby.
Well
Nice.
done.
Well done, sir.
I thought Hunduzi had that. I thought he was going to hold on from the front. But yeah, Toby, looks like you'll be managing another team in silver this season. I think,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, Toby's a fantastic manager, so yeah, good stuff.
And yeah, as Kev says, you can add other people. We'll try and make sure we've got a decent team for you to manage. And yeah, no, it could be a fun season. But it's definitely going to be a fun season.
Who was top 5, David, just out of interest, in the duck race?
Oh, I've closed it.
Have you closed it? No, it's fine.
I know Hunduzi was second. that was it.
Nah, no worries. Well, so I'll speak to Toby offline and we'll get that sorted then. Nice one.
Definitely.
Congratulations, Toby.
I'm trying to think when we'll be back. It'll be back next week now, won't we? Other shows coming up. We've got Amreezy's show this evening, 7 p.m, the early pack party stream. I'll be on that one with McBride and Root, and obviously Amreezy. The backdrop stream straight after that, where I believe Amreezy, someone said he's going to be on there, and obviously Jimbo.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else is on that one at the moment. Tomorrow night, probably nothing. Good, the bad, the ugly. I assume
Jimbo stream tomorrow, maybe. And then Good Bad Jimbo streaming tomorrow, maybe. And then Good Bad Ugly Friday.
Yeah, obviously there's no games, is there, this week? But maybe Jimbo's going to do it. Like, I mean, he does occasionally does his mid-season streams, doesn't he? When not mid-season, like in between seasons, when he's doing his building and stuff like that. So maybe he's doing a bit of streaming, but obviously he has to go to Sewer Cottage to do it. But
we just released our pre-season friendlies, so you'll maybe do some over the weekend for the games.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was a little bit late getting up, so I haven't sorted it out. But I'll try and get into some of them. But that should be fun. They're not all full up yet, are they?
No. Loads of space still.
Kev, what are the eye levels or OVRs that are set for those?
I've posted it in the Discord, Bob, but there's loads. It's everything from 58 up to 95. So it basically covers every single team you could possibly have. But it's over
I saw it. The top one was at 92. That's why I asked.
No, there's a 95 as well. Yeah. But I don't think Soul would get into that. You've got too many good players.
I don't think you can play at that one though, Bob. Tough. Yeah.
That's mad, is it? 95 and you've got too many ultimates to play it. So
why not make that one uncapped?
Yeah, we probably should have. Yeah, we'll maybe do that for next season. That's an idea. Well, the idea was to get diamond teams in, but obviously probably didn't factor in the top echelons of you, Ronan, Sid, Dio.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an idea. We'll do an uncapped one next time.
Beckman's not allowed to play in those tournaments.
That's a shame, is it? His last season as well.
Yep. And you can't play in it either because you got Turbo.
Well, I can. I've registered for it. I just can't play the wingers in Turbo. So
do I even have guys that can?
I can get an 11 out 95 or under. So
I'm able to do that actually. Hold on.
Hopefully you can.
Hope in one hand.
Jimbo, I can stream all day Saturday.
Oh man.
Oh, so he's going to do Saturday. Obviously, he's doing the stream tonight, and he's hosting GBU on Friday, isn't he? So
he is. Yeah.
Oh, if I can, let's go.
There you go, Bob. So register for that 95 one then.
Holy cow! It's a whole new world, guys.
I'll let you see how you play without Bex anyway.
Yeah, Bex is pretty good. He's
not bad, is he?
So,
he's okay.
Is there going to be like a Hall of Fame that they create for like the greatest players of all time in the MFL?
That has to happen, as well as a trophy cabinet. Surely we'll see that. I still really want to see head-to-heads as well. All-time head-to-head.
Yeah, that'd be useful.
I mean, just
love that.
Just like, is anybody close to another 99? Like Closa put up his retirement, so I think he's decently close. Kovacs, like they're at 98. Davidson, but he put in his retirement. Like it's thin, and I'm curious what it would take for a Hall of Fame. Like, are the sports writers, the content creators, going to be the ones that vote on who makes the Hall of Fame in MFL? That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but I'd like to see your own agency Hall of Fame as well. You know, personal Hall of Fames.
I mean, just look at like my retired guys. Be like, what the hell did they happen here? Like most of them are Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah.
It's so sad seeing like Beck's retiring this season. Anyway, listen, we've been going on for nearly an hour and a half, but we'll let people get back to their real jobs. Thank you very much for joining us, Rory and Bob. It's been great having you on a lunchtime show, Kev.
Cheers, guys.
Not traveling around, and we'll be back next week. You'll see Kev and maybe Bob later in the week. Rory, where will people see you next? London
meetup, definitely. I'm looking forward to that now. That should be a fun weekend. Getting to meet everyone in person will be nice.
Yeah, no,
I don't think I've met anyone in person. So.
Right, that's everything from us this week. We should be back next week. Bye.